Growing up, I think one thing led to the other. You know, growing up, the the thing that I thought that was very I was very embarrassed about turned up to be a blessing, which is being scared. Yani I was always scared when I was growing up. Mainly, for example, when all my friends they try out new things like smoking. I was scared. I was scared of smoke. I was scared of becoming sick. I was scared of being caught. And in school, for example, cheating. When it was very cool to cheat in school, I was scared of being caught by the teacher, and then I was also scared that my parents would know about it. Even if I was, the thing about school was that teachers or whatever it is, they would call your parents. I was scared. To be honest, I was scared a lot about a lot of things, becoming very hyper, and perhaps stealing a car, cheating, smoking, all the bad things that we see bad right now, but when we were growing up, there were cool things to do. It turned out to be a blessing in a way because they prevented me from becoming a bad person. I was very active, playing sports all the time, and I wanted to smoke, I wanted to cheat, I wanted to run away from school, I wanted to steal a car, I wanted to do all of that stuff, but I just didn't want to be caught, and I didn't want to hurt myself. And I when there is an altercation with kids, I was trying to stay away from it, not because I want to, punch or, but it was because I don't want to be punched. So when kids grow up today, being scared is something good. Not being scared of their shadow, but I'm saying being scared is something that is actually, I would see it now as a form of intelligence, because you have the capability of thinking about what happens next. What happened next is that I got diabetes, and I was scared, to be honest, I was scared. There was a big period of transition before I got diabetes, of what exactly, I was trying to figure out things about life, okay? And I was like, okay, I just don't want to, I just don't want to just live a normal, average Joe person, and then moving away from life, and then ending up to, I'm always a proponent of change to something better, and human nature is always, in general, people will reject change. There are only a very, very a minority of people who accept change. And the reason why is because I've always wanted to try out how to do things in a better way. Okay, so for example, when I graduated from school, before graduating, everyone was choosing their major. What do they want to study? What do they want to study? And I wanted to study, business, just because I don't know anything about it. But I heard that it's just that's you can get a good job and make money and all that stuff. And apparently, everyone wants to make money. But the thing is, everyone was gonna study business, and I didn't like to just be like everyone else. So I chose, I was like, okay, what's there? Physics? Nah. What's there? Chemistry? No way. Engineering? No way. So then there was like political science. That sounds interesting. I didn't know what's going on. I didn't know about how difficult, what's political science, what's going on. So I chose political science just because I just didn't want to be like everyone else. I didn't want to swim where everyone swims, the direction where everyone goes there. I wanted to do something that was different. But going into that, and I don't know how I went into that. Thinking about it so much, that's where living outside of Bahrain, living in the US and seeing how life is over there. That's when I was like, I want to improve life. I want to do something better. And I think there are so many things that just doesn't make me sleep at night. If there are some nights that I would just put my head to bed and just sleep. They're countless. I mean, they're not countless, sorry, I can't count them in one hand. It's very difficult because just before I sleep, if I just look out the window and I see something that I don't like, I'd think about it so much going to sleep. How do I fix this thing? How do I make things, change it? Because I've lived in a better place, I'd say in a better environment where there are the system works better and easier. So everyone stands in line. It's not frustrating when you stand in line because you know that everyone is standing with you. Over here, unfortunately, standing in line, you don't see it. I mean, you see it today in a more common way, but before, nobody knows how to stand in line. Everyone is like, I wanna, I'll go to this office, I know this guy, or I'll just jump the line, or I'll scratch my head, or looking the other side, and I'll find myself in the front of the line by mistake, or and it happens in lines. It happens when you're driving a car, and that's a bad culture, and I didn't like it. So when I decided to go and do my PhD, when I got accepted, in Claremont Graduate University in Claremont, California, which is in the Los Angeles County, they sent me the acceptance letter with a T-shirt. The T-shirt, I still have the T-shirt, and they sent me in 2005. And the T-shirt said, "I'm in the world to change the world." And then the quote is by anonymous. I wore the T-shirt and I didn't see what was in the back. My wife saw it and she's like, "Oh my God, this is so you." And I took off this T-shirt and I looked at it and I was like, this amazing quote that is really, very simple, very silly, but it's a quote that for people who are like me, it's something that is, it just tells you keep on going, keep on fighting, keep on, go ahead and do it. It's gonna be okay. And I needed to read something like that because I felt like I'm not alone. Because I've always thought that I'm an outlier. The way I think, I've always thought that I'm different, and I was always thinking about it. Am I the only one? Am I the weirdest guy? Am I am I normal? Is everyone thinking the way I think? Because I think differently, and I appear to people, to a lot of people, maybe everyone. I know that I appear as my appearance is mostly unacceptable to a lot of people. The way I talk, maybe the way I think, but it's about what's inside, and what I know. What's inside is that all I want is good. All I want is to do something better. Is to serve. Is to give something good to people, and it's actually a mirror image, or not a mirror image, but it's actually the opposite of me. Are the people who are really liked in society. So the majority of people that I face, they look so good on the outside, but they're so selfish in the inside, and they look horrible in the inside, and you can see them very clearly with a sharp eye. You can see a lot of people are like that, and society doesn't, especially over here, they don't have the ability to look through a person and look into, look at their heart and look at their intentions. They read through intentions, and unfortunately, they only judge a person by their outside, their facade, and that's where I'm really horrible at. My choice of words might be maybe, or most of the cases are bad, but I don't have time to paint it in a way that people would like to be painted. But I know I need to be politically correct, and I'm really not, even though I have a PhD in political science. But studying's really hard, I was an active person. I was moving. I was, active in a way. But I had, maybe until today, I still have it. I'm trying to solve it, and I'm thankful actually to you that you're helping me solving it. I have a bad eating habit, but I do work out, and so working out is not enough. That's what I found out now, but I wish I found out earlier. And I there were some instances actually thinking about it that I felt like I was tired all of a sudden, and I started sweating and all that stuff before getting diabetes. Just like, a couple of years before, 3 years before, it just comes and goes, and like every couple of months or 3 months, some instances, and then I didn't know what that was. But I do remember that, and that stuff like that happened, and I was still being a normal person. So while I do have a bad eating habit, I would, like, if I look at majority of my friends, I would say maybe only 5% of them would have a better eating habit than me. So I was still in the better, more active, better eating from everyone else. But those 95%, they didn't get diabetes. I did. So it's not, you don't have to be the worst eating, inactive guy so you can get diabetes. And that's what I found out later. But so what happened was I was studying very hard for my, it's called quals, they call them qualifying exams. Basically 3 years of coursework, and then 1 year you study for your final exams that covers all those 3 years of coursework, and then you get to qualify to do your dissertation. So I was at that phase and studied very hard. First exam, it was a couple of exams because I had a double major. First exam I did was very well. The second one, which is after 2 weeks, that's where I got my diabetes. Right after the first exam, I was so relieved because I did the exam. I know that I passed it. It was a 6-hour exam. The second, I had 2 weeks to prepare for the second one, and the second one was easier in a way, my second major, because I'm an international student, and that had to do with a lot of the international issues that were going on, and it's called comparative politics, and I was okay with that. And that's when I remember first exam, I was able to do a 6-hour exam without going to the toilet. The second exam, I was like, what's going on? Because I went to the toilet like 10 times in that 6 hours. I was like, something's not right here. And not just that, but I went to the toilet, drank water, came back, did the exam, go back out. And something was totally wrong. And then I came back to Bahrain like 2 days after that exam, and in the airplane I was like again and again. And there are some instances where you can't move, and you have to have your seatbelt on, and I couldn't, and maybe I started getting tired, and I started losing weight, and I started, always tired. I remember I went to a Starbucks once, and they had this huge jug, empty jug, and my wife told me, oh, you like to drink water these days, so maybe you want to buy this big jug of water, so you can take it with you. And I'm like, yeah, I really thought about it, to be honest. But I was like, I just didn't know. I didn't know anything. I didn't know anything about food, about calories, about what's a good food, what's bad food. I had absolutely no idea. But I started losing my sight, and I thought about, going and getting, glasses on. Because I did LASIK. I mean, I said maybe LASIK, went away. Now it's time for me to wear glasses back again. And once I was walking to the mosque, and my friend Sheikh Khalid bin Isa, he came out of an alley, and I was like, we get together in a point before we walk together to the mosque for a normal, a prayer. Daily prayer, and what happened was he waved from a distance, and I waved back, just seeing a man wave. I didn't know who it was. So when I came to him, he's like, he knows that when I wave to him, usually before when I used to wave him, I was like, oh, what is that? and then it was like someone with him, like, so it was like, so he knew that. He's like, what's wrong? So I told him, I'm sorry, but I really didn't see you. Now I know. I don't know what's going on, but my eyes. And then I was like, what else? He's like, well, I can't sleep at night. I wake up, and then he's like, what else? I'm like, yeah, so and so. And he said, go check your diabetes. I was like, what's that? He's like, well, go to the hospital and check if you're diabetic or not. I'm like, oh, okay. So I brushed it off. I think probably my wife had the next day like an appointment in a health specialist in Jaffa. And while I was there working, I was like, oh yeah, let me ask him about this thing that I have to check. He was like, oh, diabetes. I'm like, diabetes? Okay, well, we went to a place. They took blood out of me and they said, we'll see it. So I said, okay, I'm going home, call me whatever. So usually they call after a while, but while I was in the car going back home, they called me and they're like, don't eat anything and go to the hospital, come back to the hospital right now, but don't eat anything. So I'm like, okay, fine, whatever. I'm like, what's going on? And they told me, yeah, you have diabetes. I'm like, what is that? I'm like, well, you have to check yourself in and we'll send you. And so I went to the room, I'm sitting down, no idea what's going on, no idea what's diabetes, if it's something that you can just take a pill and then it goes away, just like fever. It's funny, but that's exactly what happened. So I was sitting down on the bed in the hospital and I was like, what's going on? This nurse comes in and she has like a few booklets, okay, and she throws those booklets and pictures on. She literally threw them on the bed, and almost all of them at the cover page they had like like amputated legs and limbs and some fingers gone and some things that are black and really scary stuff. But mostly there was legs, basically people without legs and stuff like that. And I was like, what is that? And she's like, that will be you if you don't understand, if you don't listen to me. I was like, God, because the thing is, this nurse, whether she's smart or not, she does not know that my grandfather had his leg amputated before he died, and my father actually has a prosthetic leg because his leg was amputated. So now she comes to me and she tells me, your leg will be amputated. I'm like, that really, yeah, it was ridiculous, to be honest. If I didn't have the proper military training, I would have jumped out of the window right away. I know that she has good intentions, and that's why I didn't report her or do anything like, but I just had a small talk like this. You don't do stuff like that. That's really not right. And then she explained to me, well, I was like, okay, can it go? It's like, oh no, it can't go, it's with you. And I'm like, oh, what do I do? I was very confused. But I found a doctor that outside of the hospital because I wanted someone that can be very focused with me and I can be focused with them. And I spent about maybe 2 or 3 years just knowing myself, knowing about learning diabetes and learning about myself, and I'm still in that learning process. And I think, now 8 years after that moment, I know that the best way to cure diabetes is when someone with diabetes really understands what diabetes is, because you have to be your own doctor. So you have to know the best medication for you. You have to know the best, whether you need insulin or not. You have to know what to eat, when to eat, how to sleep, when to eat dinner, breakfast, lunch. You need to know everything. And when you do that, you will be able to, control diabetes very easily. Actually having fun with it, actually being friends with it. So that's how, first you go into the different stages. From day 2, someone who knows about diabetes, if you go to them at day 2 and they're like, "Oh, you're diabetic?" Like, yeah, but you know what? Alhamdulillah, I've accepted it. I've done all of that stuff. That's false. You have to go through that stages of process of actually accepting. First you will be in denial. Definitely, you will say, "Alhamdulillah, yeah, I have it, whatever." But when someone says, "Hey, that's a diabetic person," you'll be like, "I don't like them to point at me, tell me." But because you are there is a denial phase that someone will go through, and the longer that denial phase, the worse it is. So you have to learn how to. So diabetes is actually more psychological than medical, than physical. It's really a psychological disease. It's not because the way you can't really solve diabetes without being friends with it, without accepting it, without telling yourself that it is really okay not to eat that type of food or sweet or a chocolate or whatever, or to be lazy, because the mind is the thing that really controls your decisions. The decision to eat, to wake up, to move, to take medication, and everything like that. It is the mind. So it is really 90% is really mental. And when I say mental, I would say that diabetes is a degree. To be honest, that's how I see it. If you get diabetes as a degree, a certificate of accepting it, you will be so powerful. From where I sit, I see a lot of people without not having the ability to control themselves. And diabetes, the best thing to do, the best thing to cure diabetes is to engage in cardio and resistance exercises. So what do I mean by resistance exercises? It's like basically the gym. And what do I mean by cardio? Cardio is, you run, you jog, you swim, you bike. So when you mix gym exercises with those type of cardio exercises, you will see that the mixture of both is the best way of becoming healthy. And that's why I love triathlon. And that's why I went into triathlon. Plus, it's competitive. Plus, I found that it's very interesting because going in a military background, the fun thing about military training is the obstacle course. When sometimes you're down, and sometimes you're going up the rope, and sometimes you're running, and sometimes you're trying to jump and do whatever you want. So you change. You're sort of trained to be altering. And triathlon is something like that, where it's not really boring, and you're changing. You're doing one thing and then one thing and then one thing, and even in training, and especially as men, we love gadgets. We love like stuff that I don't know, like a bike, the bicycle, the components of bicycle. The rear derailleur and the front derailleur and the wheels and the aerodynamics of the bike and all those tiny screws and the tools that you need and the grease and fidgeting around with the bike is something that is very exciting to me, and that's how I went to triathlon and I said, you know what, I don't want people to go through what I've been through. I thought about two things. And it's very logical to think about it. It's much easier to prevent becoming, yourself from becoming sick than to actually cure yourself after you become sick. So becoming sick is right here. It's much better for you to stay in this side of preventing your preventative, basically methods of becoming sick. Much better, more fun, less costly than actually waiting until you get sick and then working to try to cure yourself forever. So if we were able to live a life that you would admit that you will get sick one day, because every person will get sick if they don't, they'll get something if they don't move, If it's not diabetes, it's obesity. If it's not obesity, it's anything. But you will get sick, and if you're not getting stronger. You get strong and then you start getting weaker. But if you just try to be as healthy as possible, you will enjoy life much, much better. So I wanted people not to wait for themselves to be sick. And I started believing and reading actually a lot of research that says that people are more productive when they're active. People are more productive when they're when they have a better heart rate. When their heart is bigger, their resting heart rate is better. More blood flows to the brain works better, and you don't have all of that stuff about backaches and all that stuff. So you sleep better. When you sleep better, you wake up better and you go to work better. So it's a more productive society when people are active and they're healthy. The thing the message that's very important for everyone to know, every youth and every person who is interested in sports, is that in Bahrain we are really, really blessed, by God, that we have a fantastic leader. His Highness Sheikh Nasser is really a blessing to this country. Actually, to the region. And why so? And what did I find out basically about it? And why am I saying it? Well, first of all, it's easy to say that people, there's this guy and this guy is a good listener. But it's very difficult to find a good listener at a position such as a position of His Highness Sheikh Nasser. He is a really fantastic listener. What does that make him? What does that make him as a good listener? It makes him, basically, when you're a good listener, you are capable of using the superpowers that others possess. Okay, you don't need to have superpowers, but if you're a good listener, whether you're listening through your ears or through your eyes by reading, or your senses, when you're a good listener, you will be able to use the powers that other people have to push forward your agenda. And basically, you don't need to be a physician. You don't need to have a PhD in political science or economics or whatever it is to know everything about that field. But what you want to be is a good listener, because then you'll understand how do you use those powers to put forward, to move forward the agenda that you have. So the agenda is very simple: development. How do you develop a country? How do you develop a country? You develop the people of the country. So when I got the opportunity to present some of the ideas, they were actually very simple ideas that I had. But when they were presented to His Highness, he took these ideas, turned them around, and really, made, sort of buffed them out, and made them in such a way that they looked very differently at the end. But I was really surprised how someone a person like that would be able to look through the details of the proposal that we were putting forward, and just do some add-ons to it so that the product would be so much better. So, for example, Ironman. We approached Ironman, and they came to Bahrain. But the way we presented Ironman to Bahrain and to the private sector was that we had a checklist. Okay, so any normal person would come up with an Ironman. They're like, well, it's a triathlon. It's a 70.3 Ironman. It's a triathlon. You swim, bike, run. So the checklist that it checks is sports, right? But actually, His Highness had, being so attentive to the requirements of the country. He has a very, very long checklist. He wants to improve the economy. He wants, by bringing in, tourism. He wants to bring more events to the country by having, something for the people of Bahrain to enjoy more than going to the malls and movies. He wants to improve the society in a way, the health awareness, the health society. Basically, he wants to bring people together. He wants the world to know about Bahrain. He wants we went through a period in 2011 where we saw how the world really did not understand what Bahrain is, and they have really different thoughts and ideas of what this country is all about. So he wanted to show what the country is, and a very long checklist. And then he put some little tiny add-ons to Ironman that it actually, at the end, the product, it actually ticked all of these boxes. And that's why it became successful, and that's why it grew from having just, the number of Bahrainis were less than 5, I would say, who did triathlons. 2008 when I first did triathlons, and now, it's like, 700 or 800 people. Everyone knows about Ironman. I mean, I have a friend who was in Ironman Barcelona just recently, and he said everyone in Spain, in Barcelona, in Ironman, they all are talking about Bahrain. And that's, we did it. We didn't do it through a commercial on CNN. We didn't do it through, other means, but Formula One is good. Formula One actually is much, much bigger, and it was perfect for the country. But, the world, there are different people on the world. The Formula One would go to some people, but it's not going to go to people who are not interested in Formula One. So art goes to the people who are interested in art. But then there are all these people that cycle, that run, that swim, and there are a lot of them because in a marathon, thousands and thousands go to marathon. Now these people know about Bahrain and they want to come and visit Bahrain, and we were very successful in that, and that's I was very happy, to be honest, and I think this is why this event is a sustainable event. Now people are traveling around the world. Bahrainis are going and trying out different things, and we got people to move. We were responsible for maybe few stores, few bike shops. Before there was only one bike shop in Bahrain, and now there are like maybe 6 or 7. And it is because of the growth and the demand. The demand of having bikes, the demand, and there are a lot of coaches as well now. You can pick and choose. Who do you want to be your swimming coach, or your running coach, or your triathlon coach? And so we open up an opportunity in that sector, a sector that is very beneficial. When you invest in sports or in health, this is the only type of investment that has or a guaranteed return on investment, has no disadvantage. Investing in sport is the best type of investment you can do, because you are investing in something good, in raising the health and the awareness of people. We are going to get a more active society in the long run. We're going to get a healthier society, less diseases like diabetes. We're going to have an opportunity. We will create, before it was very difficult, to be honest, for people to wear a bike outfit, cycling outfit, and then cycling. It's kind of like weird. Now it's the norm. You can go and swim, and everyone can see you in your swimwear, and everyone can see you in your triathlon suit, and even on TV and in photos, and the items that were acting like an obstacle to become a better person are nonsense. So now people are through that. I actually faced a lot of criticism and pushback. Once a guy approached me, and I know this guy, and he came to me, he's like, can you see what you're doing? I'm like, what am I doing? It's like, you're really, basically encouraging women and men in society to wear tight clothes and to mix those, the men and women together, and these are the things that we don't need in our environment, and you're encouraging them to do all of the stuff, especially the women wearing tights and men wearing above the knee and whatever. And he's a religious person, very conservative. But here's the thing: I'm a conservative person. But I'm a religious person. I pray all my prayers in the mosque. I wake up in the morning and I go to Fajr prayer. But I'm also a smart person. I would consider myself that, because I told him, listen, you're right. Okay, as a religious and conservative person myself, I would say that these things are bad. But as a smart person, I would say that, do the benefits outweigh the disadvantages? Are the benefits a lot that you can't really stop yourself from looking at the bad things, if you say so, about it? I was like, I'm like, listen, this is the thing. That's our problem over here, is that, we look at those tiny things that are very questionable, I would say, in an environment, in an Islamic society like ours. And we don't look at what good it brings, we look at what bad it brings. And then we will, and that the result is that a lot of good will not happen. I'm telling him, think about it. I'm responsible for, waking up thousands of people very early in the morning, which means that I'm responsible for preventing a lot of people staying up at night. So would you rather have them staying up at night or waking up in the morning? That's one thing. Another thing is, I'm also responsible for promoting a population that would visit the hospital, the public free healthcare, using it less frequently. I'm saving millions of dinars because I am encouraging people to be healthy. And this money can be spent in something better, like education, like building schools, like, for example, increasing wages, building new roads. So if I save money, if I'm responsible of helping the government save money and to encourage the society, the economy to be a better economy, then why do I just look at this guy wearing something tight above the knee? That is really ridiculous. But this does exist, and we do have a job here to push things forward. And I think this is what I'm using. Everyone, whether it's me or the guys behind the camera, you can use whatever you have in your possession, whether it's a phone or becoming a board member or volunteering. Use it and think about, how do you want to use that thing into improving the place you live in, to developing. So I'm using triathlon to improve the country. I'm using triathlon to become a better citizen. We can use whatever we want. We can use, I can use smoothies to become a better citizen. Believe me, if you think about it really hard, even your phone, even whatever it is, you can use it to become a better person. When His Highness recommended and placed me in this position where I am right now, it's not a gift to what I have done. It's actually go and start working to do what I will have to do in the future. Use the tools that we have in the government, especially where I am right now, the administrative tools, the position, to take things to the next level. Now, having this type of responsibility is something that is scary. But yeah, I am scared. but I want to be scared now. Before I was embarrassed of being scared. Now I want to be scared because I know that becoming scared is the blessing that I need. It taught me how to go through my childhood and survive and become a better person. And I want to revisit becoming basically scared of basically failing in my mission. And I'm not going to rest until I really succeed. And I think the success, I don't think it's going to happen in my lifetime, to be honest. But I want to prepare everything for the next generations to come and take things forward.